Hello, good evening. Welcome to Talkin Kop. It's me, Chris Brack. I'm here with my friends Kev and Ashley, and we're going to talk about a bit of Premier League football. International football is over for at least 4 weeks. Thank Christ. Tell you one thing, Kev, I watched England versus Ireland. Well, I watched the first half, and then I woke up when the game finished. So I'm assuming, did I miss anything second half?
Yeah, Trent was absolutely outstanding for 90 minutes.
Right, okay. Oh, who knew it? Who knew
we
if he played him, it'd be good?
We got absolutely trounced. We were really badly exposed at the level we think we're in, and we're just not. I mean, if they put us in a group with Liechtenstein and that level, we might get results. It was a real wake-up call to the Republic of Ireland as to where we are in the international stakes at the minute. It was an absolutely atrocious international break for us. The only standout for Ireland, and in all honesty, and there's no rose-tinted glasses on, is Caoimhín Kelleher is a really good goalkeeper. The rest of them are absolutely putrid. Yeah. It's the worst generation of Irish soccer players that I've seen in my lifetime, bar none.
Did you watch any of the post-match stuff? Because obviously I saw the hyperbole of Kelleher's unhappy. Kelleher asked to leave and Liverpool refused to let him leave. But I don't know what context was it.
No, what it was, Caoimhín Kelleher gave a press conference he was part of the Republic of Ireland press conference, and he was asked a question by an Irish journalist. And basically, he just turned around and said...
Sorry, I'm laughing at Ashley's comments. Let's who aren't watching.
No, he basically just said, look, Liverpool know that I want to go. I want to be a number one. And if the comments had come out while the window was open, I think there would have been ructions. I said, like me and Gav chatted about it last night. But he's behaved unbelievably well, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, he should be playing as a number one somewhere. The club have literally decided, look, we've got in a keeper for next season. We're keeping you, and you can like it or lump it. Yeah. I think the club, in relation to the player, have been a bit dicky about it, to be honest. I understand the club's point of view, but at the end of the day, this is yet another year of his career that's going to go down the tubes. Because
I do wonder, play devil's advocate, why was he not telling his agent this sooner? And because I'll be honest, I do think if, say, Forest are coming with 20 plus million, I think Liverpool would have considered that going.
Oh yeah,
that's actually the price. Yeah. The fact the only bid that came in was 7 million, Liverpool you think it? He said, even if we sell you next year of the year in your contract, we'll get in more than 7 for you. So, maybe it's a bit frustrating. Maybe it's more his agent.
There was nothing coming from his side that said, to talk down the club in any way. It was more of a frustration. He was just being honest, And I thought he was being very diplomatic while he was being honest. He could have been a lot more brutal, and he wasn't.
Yeah, but perhaps he also knows if he really wants to push the move, he probably should have got his agent to push harder, which I'm sure he could have done. And I'm sure, and we've seen with Mr. Hughes, he doesn't mind selling players for the right price. So he would have sold them if he got the price for him. Maybe not for Matt Turner.
I think that there would have been an issue if it happened during the transfer window. The pressure would have been on to bring Mamardashvili in this summer, and I don't think Valencia were willing to play ball on that respect.
I think that's the reason we got the deal done. Was they get him for at least 1 more year, which is fine because it gives them another year to find an option. Cool. Right. Should we talk a bit of football? Some proper football now. So. Well, we'll do Liverpool in a little bit. Let's have a bit of fun first. Let's do the North London derby, because I quite enjoy the North London derby because it's always goals, incidents. But actually, this will be the first time, was it in 40 years, that Arsenal are going to have to play in their away kit in the North London derby because there is too much white on their home kit. Which actually, when you look at it, going, that's a fair chunk. So, but then at the same time, as me and Kev often get wound up over, so we know about reason. Chelsea and Man City always play each other, and they both play in blue.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I like the North London derby because it got no skin in the game. And usually you will get a good game. And they hate each other. not as much as other rivalries. I don't think it's as big a rivalry as in the wider context of football as some other derbies in the game. But it is up there in English terms. But this is one game where you look at it. Arsenal have got injury problems going into it, but so do Spurs. Spurs aren't exactly going into this all guns blazing and ready to attack it. They've got issues as well. I think it's going to be who needs this game more, and arguably both of them do. It's really early in the season as well.
There's also talk of, isn't Bentancur potentially in line for quite a big ban we're talking about now because of commentaries, because of breach of... I saw it, TNT, this is where Ashley doesn't correct me. I think it said breach of something like Rule E3, which when I Googled was like fair and proper conduct and no foul language in interviews. And apparently an interview he gave in the summer, which had undertones in it that shouldn't have been made, basically. So he could be in line for a large ban coming his way.
Yeah, there were some racial comments that didn't shine a good light on him. I'll just put it that way. And he apologized for them, but I think that they, depending on the severity of the ban, I mean, I think it could be up to 6 months.
Yeah. So that's interesting. There's no Richarlison, but I think they'll have some solidly fit Brendan Johnson, Big Werner, and Keith initially. So they've got plenty of attacking options.
I think Solanke might be back, but they're keeping that under wraps. They haven't disclosed whether he is or not. But I think he will be back.
Yeah. The intriguing bit will be midfield. So who'd have thought going into the season with 5 midfielders wouldn't be enough? Who knew, eh? So Declan Rice is suspended. And then Odegaard, depending which report you read, some say it's a small sprain, he's touch and go. Some saying it's a severe sprain and is out until end of October. So we'll have to wait and see on him. And the new signing, he's out. So you're left with Partey and Jorginho. And then it's either do you throw Zinchenko in as a midfielder, or there's a young kid they're excited about, do they throw him in?
I think they'll put Havertz back.
Oh, Havertz back, but there's no Jesus. So is it Trossard through the middle?
There's Sterling.
Trossard, Sterling, Saka.
Martinelli there as well.
Yeah, and then obviously you've got the young lad, the new Italian fella. I think he's out as well with a calf injury because I think he got studded in his leg.
I think he has a minor injury, and then I think is it Timber that's out too? I think he might have an injury as well.
He went off injured as well. So, but I mean, they've got Ben White there, they've got Zinchenko. So while they have injuries,
it's not the injury crisis that they're painting it to be. I mean, they haven't had quote unquote injury crisis in like 3 years. So I am not shedding any tears for them.
No, well, me neither.
But Arteta has finally signed his contract. He's got is it an extra 3 years now?
Yeah, it's a 3-year contract.
Look, I mean, he's got to start to deliver at some point. And I know it's early in the season, but you don't want to be having a 5-point gap after 4 games. If we do our job and Spurs do a number on Arsenal, you can have a little gap opening up.
They go to City too.
Yeah, we've seen in the past how early in the season these gaps can open up, and clawing it back can be really difficult. I know it's early doors, but you know this is a big game, and the fact that it's this early in the season, there is plenty on this. I think how Arsenal approach it. Gaff made a point last night. He was saying the injuries could help Arsenal focus on a way of playing to beat Spurs in the right way, because Spurs will do what Spurs do. They'll defend with a high line and they'll try to dominate the ball and be aggressive and try to put Arsenal under pressure. And Arsenal do have the talent and the players to be able to pit through that, with Jorginho especially, his passing ability, and get at them on the counter. If that's how this plays out, then Arsenal could have a field day. They really could. They could end up humbling Spurs. But on the flip side, it's, for me, I don't know about you guys, but for me, it's how Spurs manage with Son? Do they play him through the middle, or do they keep him out wide on the left like they did in their last game? Because I thought their last game, because of Richarlison's injury and Dominic Solanke's injury, that they ended up with Son through the middle, and they didn't. They kept him wide. So
they put Johnson through the middle, did he?
But more Kulusevski.
Yeah.
You know,
both options work, don't they?
Yeah, but it'll be a really good watch. I mean, it always is. There's always goals. There's always incidents. There's always something happens in this game. But
what's the odds on a Romero red card? They've got to be high. He loves a red card.
A Romero booking is kind of like a Fabinho booking. You know what I mean? It's like a big game. Yeah, look, Fabinho's a walking yellow card. You just walking on the pitch.
I think he's a walking red. I don't think he's a walking yellow. I think he's a walking red.
Yeah. If
Van der Ven being back for them would be a big thing, I think.
Yeah. Especially if they keep playing that high line that they insist on playing.
His pace, but also he's just a good defender. You know, he reads the game really well. He's been a good buy for them, especially when both their fullbacks really like to bomb on. You know, so I think he helps. Right, predictions then. Ashley, what are you going for? No pressure.
I still think Arsenal win. I think it's a 3-1. I think Arsenal.
3-1.
Yeah.
Cool. Kev?
Yeah, Arsenal win 2-1.
I've got Arsenal 2-1 and Romero red card because that's just part of the course. I think that's pretty much how it goes. Okie dokie. So let's go for the early kickoff then. Southampton are up against struggling Man United, who have had a fantastic start to the season. Beat Fulham, lost to Brighton, lost to Liverpool, signed loads of lads. All going well, really, isn't it, Kev? You know, what more can you want? Gary Neville's really upset, so, you know.
What else is new?
I'm all happy for that.
I watched Ten Hag's press conference today, and feisty and punchy were the words that came to mind. Ronaldo coming out a bit of a pop at him on his YouTube channel, apparently. And he was saying along the lines of a Manchester United manager should always be talking about Manchester United winning the league. And and in the glory days, but in the real world of where Manchester United are part of at the minute, they're not anywhere near challenging for titles. If anything, they'll do really well this season to get top 4. Ugarte hasn't trained with Manchester United yet. He's gone away for he went straight away on international duty. Played for Uruguay, I think.
Yeah, I think he has about 180 minutes for them.
Yeah, come back. He's back in in Manchester today. He'll train with the side tomorrow, and I think he's nailed on to start on Saturday. Absolutely nailed on to start. They need something in the middle of midfield, whether it's energy, scrapper, just some fight, energy, someone to try to get a hold of the ball and start to dominate a game, because they're at the stage at the minute where you're 4 games into the season. This is must win for them. They have to go and get a result. Southampton haven't had a point yet, as far as I know. You know, and they don't look like getting one. And it's like
even against 10 men, they struggled.
Yeah, and to have this as a 12:30 kickoff is literally BT telling the world that there's an upset on the cards, and we need to be there.
I'm amazed, Kev. Why aren't we the 12:30?
I know. It was so
I was getting ready, thinking I've got to rush home from me daughter's football, and I'm like, oh, we're not.
When was the last time we didn't get the 12:30 after the international break? I can't remember.
God. I know, we got a boring 3 o'clock. What are you going to do?
And probably 4 o'clock. So, as much as it is fun to wind up, sit Mickey at Man United, and look, we'll have plenty more opportunities to do it. I cannot see them not beating Southampton. Southampton, to me, feel like the Burnley of last season. They will give you chance after chance after chance because they have a style of football and they insistently stick to it. I'm all for having a philosophy, but there's elements of practicality you need to use, which is there's nothing wrong with saying we're going to cover up a bit against the bigger sides, and then when you're playing sides in and around you, we're going to play our style. But I'm not a manager, but it just feels like the way they play is open for United to expose that. Ashley's not agreeing with me.
I mean, I'm not a Southampton tactician master. I just think with Manchester United, you never know. You never know like what his tactics are going to be and how effective they are. I think if they shoot themselves in the foot again, I mean, especially if Casemiro plays, then anything could happen. If they're going to start gifting like goals on silver platters like they did, I mean, even Southampton might score. But I do think, maybe, but it's on them to set things right. And they couldn't have asked for a better opposition, I think, to come back to and try to set things right.
Yeah. So predictions, I'm going to go Southampton 1, Man United 3. And Man United will be back, Kev, and everyone will be happy for a week. What are you going for, Kev?
I think United will win it 2-0. But I think they'll have a scare in the game. Something will happen that will expose them at the back, whether Southampton are good. The thing is with Southampton, they're after signing that young kid from Aston Villa, striker. His name escapes me. Someone in the chat might know it. But I think he was an England under-21 international. Oh, God, his name's gone from me. But you're right about what you say about Southampton. They're coming up. They're like Burnley. We have a way of playing, and the fans expect a way of playing, and what have you. Cameron Archer, thanks, Brian. Yeah, but
he was at Sheffield United, wasn't he?
Yeah, but no, yeah, but he was at Villa before.
On loan. Sorry, was he on loan at Sheffield United?
Yeah, I think so. But in a player like him, they've got forwards who can run and who are quick and who can give United a problem. It'll be interesting to see what they do with De Ligt, because he was given the curly finger at halftime in the Dutch game against Germany. I was talking to Shawnee last night, and he said he was absolutely atrocious. He was lucky to make 45. And what United do with him would be interesting.
He was one of their best players on the pitch during our game. I mean that because the bar was so darn low.
Yeah,
he's one of our best players as well.
But I watched a bit of the Portugal game, Portugal Scotland, and Fernandes scored an absolute beauty. They have the ability in some of their players to be individual match winners, and that's, I think, will get them results in games like this. They have individuals who can win a game, but collectively against good sides who are organised and tough to break down, they're going to suffer embarrassing losses again this season. Long may it continue, to be honest. But yeah, I think they'll get 2-0 in this one for Manchester United.
Cool. Ashley, what score did you have? Sorry, did I ask you?
No, you didn't. I'm
sorry.
going to go 2-1 because I still think Manchester United win, but I think that Onana will have a howler because I just think that's where he's at right now form-wise.
Yeah, fair enough. Right, let's do a couple of quick fire ones. The late game on Sunday, Wolves against Newcastle. Kev?
Newcastle 2-0.
Ash?
Newcastle 1-0.
I'll go 1-0 as well. City Brentford, Kev?
4-0. Man City.
Yeah, I'll go with that 4-0. Ashley?
Sounds about right. I think having Haaland in your fantasy league is a good bet this week again.
I think it is, yeah.
If you haven't used your triple captain, this might be a good one.
Yeah. Fulham against West Ham, Ashley?
I mean, that has like a boring draw all over it. Pick your number. 1-1.
Let's go with that. Kev, what have you got?
Same.
Okay.
Well, I'll go for 2-2. Fuck it. Why not?
Palace Leicester. Kev? It's also not an exciting game, is it really?
Do you know what? And you'd be amazed how many of these games can be absolute barnstormers. And I think this could actually be a good game. Yeah, this could actually be a good game. I think Palace 3-1.
Palace 3-1. I'll go 2-1 Palace. Ashley?
Let's go 2-0 Palace with Eze to score.
Cool. Brighton against Ipswich. I'll go 2-0 Brighton. Ashley?
Yeah, I think that's a Brighton win. 2-1 sounds right.
Cool. Kev?
I think Ipswich get a draw here. I think they've got a few signings in late in the window. And even in the 45 that they played well against us, they look like out of all the sides that I've seen so far that have come up, they look like they've got a plan on how to score or a plan on how to attack. You know, Brighton, they've got results, but in the injuries are starting to mount. I mean, they've lost James Milner, they've lost a couple of others. I can see a 1-1 in that one. I can see a draw in that one.
Okay. Last one, Kev. Bournemouth against Chelsea.
God, and I mean this with a heart and a half. God knows. Anything could happen in this. Anything could happen in this. I think Chelsea have it in them to rip sides apart. They could absolutely tear sides apart. Or they could completely implode in 15 minutes of madness. They've got so much talent going forward that I think some of them forget they have to defend as well. Bournemouth, I think, a potential unsung hero in Antoine Semenyo that I think they'll be lucky if he's there next season.
The new striker looks interesting as well, the lad from Porto.
From Porto, they paid big money for him. 40 Evan Nielsen, I think his name is.
Yeah.
40-something million for him. Yeah, he does look handy. And I think they've got a really good manager, a really good tactical manager. I'm going to stick my neck on it, and I'll say Bournemouth 2-1.
Ooh, Ashley?
I agree with Kev. You could flip a coin and decide what Chelsea you're going to get. I don't even know what players they're going to put on their team.
Not for the manager knows either.
I have no idea. So I don't know. I think I'm going to go with a draw. I think that, Bournemouth is probably bouncing after their result with Everton, and I think Chelsea had a decent result too. So I don't know. I'm going to stick with a draw.
I'll go 2-1 Chelsea. So one of us is guaranteed.
One of us is going to be right. One of us is going to be right.
Prediction rights again on this show because one of us went for it.
Just sit on the fence. Right. Why don't we?
Yeah. So it's a nice comment there from Scouser Pete. I think he knows me far too well, which is, can we have an in-depth chat about Everton? Of course we can. Our Merseyside neighbours. Ashley, I think you could see my enjoyment in the Telegram chat where I fell asleep watching the game, thinking, that's 2 lads. I'm not worried. I flicked it back on. I went, it's 2-1. And I think I got the chat. I said, it'd be funny if they draw this. And when Bournemouth equalised, I was like, there's 5 minutes to go. And but it was like the car crash coming. It could have been
anything.
But it was like the car crash coming, going like, they're going to lose this. You could just see them go. Yeah. And what was the mad thing about them, Ashley, was up until 18 minutes, to be fair to Everton, they battered Bournemouth. Absolutely battered them. 2-0 flat to Bournemouth. So to lose, I think that result's quite damaging because it wasn't like something that was already thinking they haven't actually played that well and they kind of got the just desserts. This was like they played really well, some decent football, nice goals, and you still come away with nothing. Dyche still hasn't won a game in August for Everton, which is it's just all a bit grim, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's fun to watch though, if they're not your team.
I think what you're saying, where they were in control, kind of made the collapse that much more calamitous, funny, whatever you want to use, because they haven't been in control for such a long time. So it felt like they had turned a corner or something, and like the fans were actually cheering and they weren't booing, and there was like a little bit of energy that had been lacking in the stadium for God knows how long, and then to just see it sort of like all of a sudden dramatic like U-turn and reverse and just crash and burn. It was, I don't know. I mean, I know it's early in the season. I know it was just versus Bournemouth, but it was a spectacle.
How long careful that pressure really starts to tell though on the manager, because he had a poor start last season, then he turned it round, but I just feel like the manner of that loss felt pretty damaging. But can they both sack him, I suppose?
This game coming up now is more about performance than result for me, because, like you said, they bossed that game. They deserved to get something out of it, and they were in complete control. and then they managed to completely implode. And yeah, it's all well and good. We can all have a good laugh and a chuckle at them. But
I did.
I think a lot of us did. They've got a new prospective owner on the cards who's talking up the club as if it's going to be like the next version of Barcelona or Real Madrid. And Sean Dyche potentially could be given funds in January if he can make it that long. And the longer David Moyes is out of a job,
the better it looks.
The more noise that's going to come, because he's got to start getting something out of him. The reason why I said the performance is more important than a result in this one fixture is because you'll see signs of the players turning on each other. If the players are showing that they're not interested in what the manager is saying, or if they're not working hard in tracking back. Because you know what Dyche is like. You know what he demands from players. And at the very basic is you turn up, you do your job, and you do that and he'll back you to the hill. And we've seen it with players. He's really loyal with the players that he has. But if you see that turning and waning, and the player, because you saw it in that when they imploded, the players were turning on each other big stuff. They were turning around, pointing fingers, blaming each other left, right, and centre. And when they lost, it was like almost disbelief. How did that happen? And it's very easy for a dressing room to just completely switch off at that stage. I don't like seeing what's happening with Everton off the pitch. I'll be truthful, because it's not good for the city. I remember I still go back to when we were talking to Dom last year, and the amount of revenue that comes into the city of Liverpool when Everton are at home and Liverpool are at home is massive. Everton Football Club need to be in the Premier League. I just like them down at the bottom suffering all the time, but it's at the end of the longer they're in the amount of people who travel from Ireland to go to Everton week in, week out is huge. It's not as big as Liverpool, obviously, but they do get a lot of people coming into the city spending money. And I'd hate to see them fall away. I would. I'm one of the few Liverpool fans who don't want to see them relegated for different reasons that are other than football. I hope to get their off-field stuff sorted out, but at this stage of the season, they got to show something on the pitch to give the fans something to fucking hold on to, and to give themselves, the players, something to hold on to, because it's going to be really easy for them to just fold and collapse on each other. And if they do that, they're gone. They're in real trouble.
I maintain, and that is, they feel like Sunderland. Sunderland just for years kept floating around the relegation zone, but if they actually go down, Sunderland did a double drop quite quickly because it was that much of a mess. And it does feel like, the other thing I've got to hope is if the guy from Palace is going to take over, he's got a plan, he's got relevant funds, but he's got a way of getting that club organised behind the scenes, because a lot of their problems is behind the scenes silliness and just like odd signs. They can talk about the PSR and the red cartel all they like. Just look at the lads you've signed. Look at what lads you've sold. None of it looks good business. It all looks pretty average.
Would you be building? Would you be building on Dyche if you were to come in and start bringing players in January? Because I wouldn't.
No.
I think it depends on the battle you're in when you take over the club. Because if he takes over the club, the first thing he's going to need to do is stay in the division. And if they're knocking in and around the bottom six, and you have money available to him. I mean, the thing is, he has had no money. He's been virtually hamstrung in what he's able to bring in and the type of players he's bringing. He's gambling on players that he's bringing in. Every player that they've brought in is a pure gamble. They've held on to the...
You wouldn't have had somebody who he would have liked to have brought in.
Yeah. It would be interesting in January if he was able to turn around and said, right, okay, get me a striker who can score goals. Get me a centre mid who can win battles in the middle of the park. Give him that.
Those don't come cheap.
To the end of the season. No, but this is the whole point. If you're getting a new owner coming into the club, they will have flexibility in what they're allowed to spend. And he will have to put his hand in his pocket and invest in that squad. That squad is in absolute tatters and it needs a small fortune spending on it, but it has to be done properly. It has to be done the right way.
Next level is saying half that squad is out of contract next summer as well.
That might not be a bad thing.
They're probably quite happy about that.
Yeah, but that's still a big job. Then you could go and replace them. You know, we're looking at a panic of potentially 3 players to replace.
I don't think they have like a strong academy system either.
No, not anymore. They used to. It's one thing that they were known for. Their academy system was very, very good.
Well, Liverpool used to lose out to players to Everton because they know they'd get a chance. And to be fair, Everton did well with their young academy players. Either they went to be regulars for Everton or they went and made big money off them. You know, so right. So, Ashley, what score are you going for? Oh, should we talk about Villa? Sorry, we should really be fair and talk about Villa. They've been really good. I mean,
they have been really good.
You know, I think apart from misfiring against Arsenal, I think you can put it down as it's one of those days. But in general, Villa look a good outfit. Look well organised, and the players they bought look like they've settled in pretty well so far. And they have a good manager.
I mean, they're an example of a team that was down at the bottom for a little period of time that has absolutely radically changed their prospects in a short period of time. So if Everton wanted an example to follow, they have the blueprint there. I mean, it requires getting in a very good coach. And I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that he's a very good coach and they pumped a lot of money into that team. But if you want a blueprint for changing your fortunes over not a very long period of time, they are a good team to look at because, I mean, they are realistically a top 4 candidate, in my opinion, this year. And I think they continue to be there.
Yeah, Kev, they've done right, haven't they, Villa?
Yeah, I like Villa. I predicted them to finish 4th again. I like the way he plays. He's I can't see anything but an Everton winning this. Sorry,
an Everton win?
A Villa.
Have you been drinking, Kev?
No, I've been reading the comments too much, to be honest. No, a Villa win, but this is the point in the season now where Villa will have one eye on midweek. I think they play young boys midweek.
Yeah,
so he's got to start managing his squad from now until January, the same as everyone else. So this is going to be a test for them, but they've got some talent. They've got some real talent. Rodgers looks a player. Got Jacob Ramsey's back play. Yeah, Jacob Ramsey's back playing now. Really like him. Ezra Konza, outstanding talent as well.
John Duran's been good fun when he's come off the bench as well.
He's also just fun to say.
I think it's a massive thing for Villa to be able to keep him. And, if Watkins does drop off form or, you need to rotate a striker, he's well capable. I think Villa 3-0.
Oh, he took my score. Ashley, what have you got?
All right, dude.
Let's go 3-1 to the Everton for 3-1 to Villa. Everton to score 1 goal to kind of brighten the mood.
Oh, Ashley, never mind. Right. Before we talk to Liverpool,
Matt's just put a comment in there. The Villa fans are seriously disgruntled about the Champions League ticket prices.
I've seen
Could
that,
be a few protests or something. Yeah, it'd be.
Is it 90 quid?
I think it's 97.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
members, it's a little bit less, or season ticket holders, it's a little bit less. But
I think my brother and sister for Sir Kenny stand is 57. To put it into context, which is still a lot of money.
Here's the thing: Villa are really pushing their luck on PSR. They've had to play the PSR game this season. They want to still compete and be involved in the Champions League next year. Unfortunately, that's not going to come cheap, and fans are going to end up being charged more to watch Premier top European games. And especially when you're at a ground. I mean, look, everyone loves Villa Park. It's a proper traditional ground, but in modern day terms, it's a small ground. There's nothing huge or special about Villa Park in capacity terms, and Birmingham is the second biggest city in the UK. So they'll have no problem selling the tickets, none whatsoever. And if Villa want to compete, they're going to have to, fans are going to have to stump up until they get better commercially. Once they start getting better commercial deals and get into Europe on a regular basis and can increase their revenue that way, this is how they're going to have to do it. And it's just this business side of football, unfortunately. I can understand people are pissed off about it, but it's just a sad reality of the world that we're in at the minute.
I think a lot of them were pissed off because like their Premier League prices, even for the, top games, are cheaper than that. So there's like a significant hike up from like if a Liverpool or a Man City came to Aston Villa. Yeah. So they were saying that they didn't really understand why like a visit from Young Boys would be more expensive than like a visit from Man City.
No, I get it. But I think they just it's like you got to make hay while the sun shines. And this is just one of those things. They're in the Champions League. They might not get back into it again for a while. So they're going to have to try to make as much money as they can out of this run. It sucks, I know.
I know. So let's talk about our sponsor, Football Prizes. They've got another Liverpool deal for us. Tickets $295, 999 tickets available, and it closes on Tuesday, the 24th of September at 7:30. It is to win a one-of-a-kind 2005 UEFA Champions League final shirt full of squad signatures. So, not a bad prize, that. So, details in the description below, footballprizes.com. You can win yourself a 2005 Champions League shirt, all signed. What more can you want? And scroll on the bottom, we've got our two charity partners. We've got the Lighthouse Cafe in Dublin, which looks after homeless people in Dublin, and we've got fan supporting food bags in Liverpool. The aim is to get to 10k, 5k for each charity. So again, it's been a bit slow recently. Please give what you can. Details are in the description below. If you can't give, share on social media. Kev's watching your social media. He knows you're not doing it, and he's going to get grumpy. And me and Ash have to deal with grumpy Kev. So do us all a favour, start sharing it because he'll start telling me off again. But no, jokes aside, if you share it around, you don't know whose eyes it catches. Put it in WhatsApp groups, put it in work groups. This is to help people who need food. So do what you can, please. Right, let's talk about Liverpool. It's a Saturday. It's 3:00. It's a bit like witchcraft, this, Kev and Ashley, because we don't normally get these 3:00 Saturdays. We're playing Forest, who are undefeated at the start of the season. 2 draws and a win, which is a decent start for them. But I think the teams they've drawn with are teams you probably would expect them to beat. So it's a bit of an indifferent start. No Danilo or Bowley for them. They're both out injured. I think Danilo got a particularly nasty injury first game of the season. And our current record against them is last 6 home games, 6 wins. Last year was a 3-0 win. The year before was a bit of a mad 3-2. But you would expect, looking at, this is not so arrogant, but look at Liverpool's next 4 Premier League games. This is kind of a run that they have to be aiming to look for maximum points if they really are serious about a title, because these are games you'd expect to win, because post the next international break is a hell of a difficult run. So I think they need points in the bank. But how are you seeing this? I'm expecting a bit of rotation for this one.
I'm expecting a bit, but not much. The story with like the South American lads when they come back. Sometimes they need to be bedded, more so McAllister than anyone else. They need to be gently brought back into the squad. And I can definitely, we were looking last night at the minutes that everyone played on international duty, and McAllister went off in the first game with a bit of a tight calf and came on in a loss to Colombia for the last 26 minutes. I think he'll probably start McAllister, might play an hour, but I think he's one that'll be managed for sure.
Was the calf in addition to his adductor?
No, I think that was fluff. I don't think that was ever the case. Not from what I read anyway. And in fairness, if you had an abductor issue, you're not coming back. You're not playing. You're on the next plane home. That'd be a lot more serious. But a lot of Liverpool players played maximum minutes, and for most of them, it's been a good international break. But I think, you could see 2 or 3 changes, but I think he probably will look to use his bench maybe a bit earlier in games and use that to rest players. Whether it's you might make changes at the start and get an hour out of some players and use the bench, which might be a bit stronger to get 30 minutes or more out of some players. But Forest, you take Gibbs White out of Gibbs White and Elanga, they're real threats. They're really good players. You take that out of their side, and they're probably winning the championship with that side. They've managed to spend a lot of money, but I don't think they've got the return on what they've bought yet. They've got 2 draws and a win, but the win they got was, I think, more luck than judgment. It was a lucky goal.
Yeah, it was Southampton too.
Yeah, and it was like a rebound that bounced into the path of Morgan Gibbs White, and he knocked it in. But they haven't been pulling up any trees in any of their performances. I think they'll be in and around the bottom 4 this season. I think there's a chance they could go down. To be truthful, it's a game we should be winning. Chris is bang on that. This is a run of games where we have it. Look, if that was Man City's run of fixtures, you just say, yeah, they're just picking up 4 wins in these 4 games, and you move on because that's what you'd expect. If you've ambitions to win a title and to compete to win a title, these are 4 games you should be winning, especially at home. And I think everyone is just looking forward to getting them back. But I'm looking forward to getting him back and seeing what he does next, because every game we've played so far, we've done something different in each game. Tactically, he's made tweaks in every game to accommodate who we're playing and how we defend against certain situations. That every team are kind of unique and every team brings something a little bit different. And he's adapted. He's been really flexible in adapting to how other teams play, changing how we attack them. Little things. I'm just really intrigued as to how he's going to set up against this Forest side, because you can dominate the ball and really hurt this side if you're clinical. And the flip side is as well, what does he do with Darwin? Darwin's been off for 2 weeks. He should be bulling to get in. Darwin should be starting this weekend. He's the freshest of everyone. He's at a full preseason. There's no reason why he shouldn't be starting. And if he doesn't, you'd have to ask questions as to, does the manager fancy him or not?
In fairness, Jota has a really good record versus Forest. He's got 6-5 against Forest.
Yeah.
So that's the only argument that I could make for not seeing Darwin start.
Yeah, I mean, the only person who had a crap international break was poor Harvey Elliott. I think he saw this as his run opportunity, which I think we all thought he would get games post-international break, but unfortunately he broke his foot. You're probably looking at end of October, early November now before he's back fit, which is an unfortunate blow for someone who actually was really good for us last season. And I did feel in this run now of, was it sort of like 6 games in 20 days, he would definitely start at least 2 of them, and I think he'd be a good asset off the bench. So bit of a blow for him. Good news is Curtis Jones is back training. So actually, I'll give you a suggested team, and then we can discuss where we agree or disagree. So I think the back 4 and keeper doesn't change. I think we start seeing a bit more rotation in the back 4 next Premier League game. I think Gravenberch keeps his place because I think he needs to learn the role, and to be fair, he's in good form. He did well for Holland. Yeah. I wonder if Jones comes in for McAllister to give him a rest, partly because of the travel, and I think he's one to protect if he's already got a couple of niggles. So I think potentially you see Jones coming for McAllister on the bench. I think Salah starts. I think Szoboszlai starts, and I wonder then if Diaz is still not quite, we don't know how he is after the long international travel. If it's Gakpo, Nunes are the other 2 options. Surely this is a game. Like I'm with Kev. This has to be a game for Nunes to play. He's literally been training for 2 weeks. So this is the point, because I think the team that starts against Man United is the team who starts in the Champions League.
Yeah,
so I think he want to protect the view.
I think that's kind of the curious thing is he going to go full strength in the Champions League and do the rotation in this game, or is he going to flip flop it? I don't know which of the 2 I mean, it's Milan, so I don't know who he thinks is a bigger challenge. I do think that whoever starts this game probably doesn't. I mean, the subs that come in will probably start the next game, kind of thing. So we'll see a little bit from the rotation that he does. I mean, I'm just curious to see. We haven't really seen a lot of rotation. He has only had one game a week so far, and so this is going to be new for him. And it'll be interesting to see, does he do it on 60 minutes like Klopp did, or does he pull them earlier? I don't know what his tactics are going to be. So that's all going to be new, and it's just going to be interesting to see. We're going to learn a lot, I think, from that.
But it would be bad, though, potentially looking on the bench going, well, we've got potentially McAllister, Jota, Diaz, and Chiesa to potentially come on.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see if he gets minutes.
That'd be interesting if you'd like to hopefully maybe Chiesa is on the bench now, especially with no Harvey Elliott, because he could play the 10 role, which Szoboszlai plays, and he also can cover wide. So he does give you a lot of flexibility in the attacking areas.
Unless Morton drops in, it's one of the two. But I think Chiesa would probably be at the top of the rotor.
Yeah. You look forward to this one, Kev?
Yeah. Look, I'm always looking forward to it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the weekend. It's nice to have a 3:00 kickoff as well. I wouldn't be surprised if Kwanzaa comes back in and starts. Man of the match performance for England in the under 21s. Needs to get that Ipswich game out of his system, and he's going to be needed. So I'd have no problem playing him. Also, I think if it wasn't an international break and it was Manchester United we played last week and we were coming into this week, I think Endo might have come in and started because I think it's just the fact that you look at the actual travel that he's had, it's a significant amount. But yeah, I think Gravenberch probably starts, Robertson starts, but I don't think I think Robertson would be one of those ones who would be changed.
I think both of the fullbacks will get pulled early.
I think that's
I think it is. It's got to be his way of managing. And the other side of it is Trent was really good for England in both games.
Yeah.
He really showed his class in the two performances. What he does in midfield, I don't know. It'll probably be Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, and Jones, more than likely. Up front, then, I mean, Diaz is flying. Diaz is absolutely flying. He's in top form.
His assist against Argentina was excellent.
Yeah, but even at internationals, he played the full. I think he played 180 minutes while he was away. One of the games he was outstanding. The other games he was just okay. Got dispossessed a lot. I think it was in one of the games in the first game he got dispossessed a lot. It's just one stat that I looked at when I was looking up the minutes of who played what for last night. It just stood out a country mile. He was dispossessed 8 or 9 times. But that to me just means he was running at players left, right, and centre. And see what would happen. I hope he starts. I think Salah probably starts because he didn't play the full quota for Egypt.
He got his 100th. Did he get his 100th cap for Egypt as well?
Yeah. He played both games, but he didn't play the full 90 in both. But I'm hoping that Darwin starts. I think Jota. I agree. Ashley's dead on when it comes to Jota. His record against Nottingham Forest is outstanding. But at some point, you've got to start playing Darwin Núñez. You have to. And there's no better place than to do it at home against a side where he's going to get chances. So, you've got to play him. Whether we see Chiesa on the bench, I don't know because he didn't play any games in pre-season at all. And, you've got to find minutes for him somewhere. I think he might be on the bench for the trip to Milan. And I expect him to play his first game in the League Cup.
Yeah,
I expect the League Cup to be his first start, but I expect him to get minutes off the bench in probably the Milan game, but definitely the league game before the West Ham League Cup.
Bournemouth is at home next. Yeah, we've got back-to-back home games, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
So
but it's managing the midfield as well. I also think Tyler Morton will be involved off the bench. because he scored for the under 21s, and I still had to knock my head to say, Tyler Morton still plays for England under 21s. We feel like he's been around forever and a day. He's still a kid. He's still a young player.
I think him and Gravenberch are actually pretty close together.
Exactly. So
it could be that maybe Morton takes Endo's place on the bench.
Possibly.
If a traveling's been that much, it may not.
Well, I
wouldn't be surprised to take him off.
Endo was playing. I think Japan played to beat China 7-0, and they played Bahrain and beat them 5-0. And he played in a two-man midfield in both games and scored, I think, in one of them. So, but I don't think he played the 180. He didn't play the 180. He played, I think, 70 minutes in the last game. It's just the travel time. But he's another one.
That's what I'm thinking.
He needs minutes as well. You've got to start blooding these players in, and the rotation is going to start now.
Yeah.
So we might get some surprises with the lineups. From here on out.
We do know around this time of year. It's always good fun.
We do.
Fall off. Watching Zeds fall off. It's great fun. Also, actually, if we don't concede and win, Arne Slot will be the first manager in Premier League history to win his first 4 games without conceding a goal, which would be quite nice because we had a lovely habit last year of hopefully getting past 5 minutes without a goal. So how are you feeling about this game? And are you confident?
I think because it's at home, I feel quite confident and quite calm. Like I said, I'm more curious. I'm like Kev. It's like every game you learn a little bit more. Like so much is still quite unknown with him, and I think I'm just curious to learn about his tactics and to learn about his subs and to see what he does now that he had this extended break. We don't know how his teams come back from international break. We know that Klopp's teams tended to struggle, but I don't know. I mean, Slot could have them all rearing to go, and it could be fantastic. So it'll just be a learning experience, and that's how I'm approaching it for right now.
Cool. What score are you going?
I think the safe score is a 3-0. I think that we have that kind of as our go-to score recently, and I'm totally okay with that.
No problem. Kev, what are you going for?
Snap. 3-0.
3-0.
I had 3-0. I just had 3-0 in my head. I'm desperate for that fourth clean sheet. I want us to be absolutely horrible to play against. I want to give them absolutely nothing. But there will be a threat. Elanga, Gibbs-White, Chris Wood, Nico Williams coming back.
1 year on his day is difficult. We found that a couple of years ago in the 3-2 when he was a pain. With a compliment, he was a pain in the arse.
He's very physical.
Yeah, he is. But this is why I think Kwanzaa needs to play, because I think he needs to play against that style of player again, and just get that Ipswich game out of his head completely.
Hey,
I liked his interview when he was away on international duty as well. It
was a mature interview, actually.
Yeah. So I hope he plays. If he doesn't, Kanate could do with blowing off that France game, because I watched the France game that he was playing in. Oh yeah, there was a reason why Upamecano came in for the second game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Ibu. It was not his finest night. It wasn't just him, man. Saliba was just as bad.
Yeah. Hey, the curveball could be, Kev. It's Van Dijk and Joe Gomez. Because Joe hasn't been away. Yeah, Joe's been at the club, so it could. Do you know what? It actually could be. That could be the curveball. Is Gomez starts with Van Dijk because he's had 2 weeks off training, so they're thinking goes out to throw him in.
Or he could turn around and start Joe Gomez at right back and say, have a rest, and we'll have 3 physical centre backs against what Forest are going to try to lump forward. We don't know.
Because Gomez is like Endo. He needs his game somewhere. So now I'm like you. I think he gets his game West Ham. But again, you can't throw too many against West Ham who haven't played. No. Because again, you have
exactly, yeah. So, well, no, I don't care. I think you will. I think he will literally make as many changes as humanly possible. And if he could make 15 changes for that West Ham game with the squad as well, he'll do that. I don't think, with the volume of games we have this season, I don't think it's like previous years where you've got to find minutes for the 23s and the under 21s to keep everyone happy.
I know we don't have any.
We've sold them all.
This is it. Do we really need a League Cup run this season to keep everyone happy? I don't think we do. I think there's enough games in the league, in the Champions League, the way this new phase is, to manage everyone through it and to give enough minutes to people who need them. I think if you throw a League Cup run into this, it complicates it, because I don't think you need that level of headache in your club this season. We've already won. We won it last year, but we won it largely because the group that got us there were, players 12 to 25. That's who large it was. But I think the squad will be needed for the league and the Champions League. I think there'll be plenty of minutes going around in that. You throw in another competition where you've got to play 6-7 games to go and win it, and ultimately the club gets about 6 million, 7 million quid for it. It's more trouble than it's worth. I think, it's a tangent, right? But I think the Premier League, English football, needs to bin off one of the domestic cups. I've thought it for a while, and I love the League Cup, but they'll never bin off the FA Cup. One of them has to go.
Or it might get to a point where they don't invite the European sides in it.
But then there's no point in playing it because none of the other clubs will make any money.
I know.
It's devil deep in the sea. But I think no other country has 2 domestic cups as well as a league and clubs involved in Europe. No, none of the top 5 leagues do it, as far as I know. And if something has to give, the football calendar is just too congested.
The player welfare needs to come to the table, because we're on like the cusp, and I think we've already kind of gone over the cusp, to be honest. But I think we're going to start to see like crazy injuries happening if they're going to be playing this many games. And I was listening, I think it was the Athletic podcast. They had one of the representatives from the player welfare come on, and they were talking about how a lot of players that have had injury recently, like, you could tell that they were on a path to injury. Like Pedri was the example that they used, where he played so many games and they knew that he was kind of in that red zone, and that yet they still kept playing him just because the games were on the calendar. And it's like someone needs to step in to kind of take that power away from the clubs to be able to like really run these players like racehorses, unfortunately. Because I do think that you're going to see more of those injuries popping up with, it's not healthy for them to be playing these games like Tuesday, Sunday, or whatever the schedule that they're doing, Wednesday, Saturday. You are going to see players break down.
Yeah. But sadly, I can't see anything happen. I mean, I heard a podcast recently, is Kev, you'll find this hilarious. The whole Leicester situation, where Leicester didn't get charged with PSR breaches. Do you know how they got out of it? Because
I saw it. Yeah,
because the word in the Premier League have used.
The word in the Premier League
isn't watertight. So basically, Leicester will say, "We were in the Premier League when you breached this. You can't do us." And legally, they were like, shit, yeah, you can't." So if that's the level of competency, this 115 charges ain't gonna go. This 115 charges, don't worry about it.
Well, that starts next week.
They'll get off with that then, because they can't even get very basic wording right. Jesus,
it's funny that secret meeting that's happening behind closed doors is plastered all over Sky News today, saying it's starting next week. It's going to go on for 2 months, and the verdict will be out sometime in the spring from that secret behind doors, closed doors meeting that nobody's meant to know about.
Oh yeah, but it was always
the next few weeks and months are going to be interesting, aren't they?
Yeah, there'll be loads of insider info. They get away with it. They're getting thrown out. Honestly, don't listen to any of it until the actual verdict comes out, because no one knows. A lot of it's hyperbole and just get people excited.
Yeah.
Right, before we go, actually, we're doing well for time for once. I'm getting better at this hosting. Anything else you want to add, Ashley?
No, I'm just glad the football is back. Like, the club football is back.
Cool. Mr. O'Sullivan, anything you'd like to add?
No, all good. I don't know what's happening for the rest of the week. No idea. I know we're doing a post-match show. We should have a full house on Saturday for...
Yeah, the 4 of us.
Yeah, Matt's done with all of his farming stuff.
Matt from his tractor's going to do it.
Yeah, but I think Buffy has given Matt a list of jobs about as long as
he definitely has a honey-do list.
Yeah, Matt is definitely paying for his jollies going out on the combine harvester.
Perhaps we should have Mrs. Matt. Can we have Mrs. Matt on the show instead? She's much better.
She was great on the quiz.
Yeah.
Much better than Matt. Which, I mean, to be fair, that wasn't hard. But
I'm not saying a word when it comes to quizzes. I do not get involved in quizzes.
I don't.
I mean, to be fair, I can't say about quizzes. I don't even get the question right, and I write it.
This is true.
This is true. Shameless plug from me. The NFC Women's Show went live today. So it's me, Neil Atkinson from the Anfield Wrap, and Emma Sanders from the BBC. So we're doing a preview of the season, talk about the WSL as a whole with the new Cova Own It now, or the new name they've got, what expectations. So interesting chat. Emma and Neil are good value. Neil was talking about his book as well and Emma's new role. So that was all good. So give it a watch. Like it, leave comments. Feedback is always welcome on it, just so we can try and grow that part of the podcast as well. So that'll be much appreciated. And the women play their last friendly this Sunday with fans attending at St. Helens. So
I was going to say, do they move to St. Helens from this season?
Yeah, 10-year lease at St. Helens.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so I get to experience it on Sunday, see what it's like. So should be good fun. But I've had a pub first. Because that was the one benefit of Tranmere was there was literally a pub across the road, which was great.
It's St. Helens, mate. You won't have a problem.
I'm sure I'll find a pub in St. Helens. I'm sure we'll be all right. Yeah, so I'll give you feedback next week on what life in St. Helens is like.
I've never been. Anyway, we're ready. We're going.
We're off. See you all very, very soon. Take care.
Good night.